Hey my fellow nerds, geeks, and or comic book lovers, welcome to my channel. My name is NeuroSpider369, and today we'll be taking a look at the comic book storyline, The Terrible Toyman. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Terrible Toyman was published in 2008's Action Comics number 865. The story was written by Jeff Johns and penciled by Jesus Marino. In it, we see that Toyman has recently escaped from Arkham Asylum. Yeah, apparently he was previously locked up in Arkham this time instead of Stryker's Island. Which, to be fair, does make a lot more sense, especially given the context of this story. Anyways, sometime after his breakout, Toyman manages to kidnap Jimmy Olsen and holds him hostage within his workshop. He then starts to reminisce as he tells Jimmy about his happy life back in the UK. Yeah, like that's a thing that could really happen. Where he lived with his wife Mary and even had his own children's toy store. But, unfortunately, the happiness didn't last forever. Surprise, surprise. As poor Winslow had lost his wife in a fatal car accident, and also sold his business to a man who would later use the schematics from his toys to create and sell weapons with. It's also implied that Toyman killed the same businessman with an explosive teddy bear, although this was never confirmed to be true. Eventually, he would cross paths with the Man of Steel upon arriving to Metropolis, and became one of the most recurring members of his rogues gallery. We then flash back to the present, where Jimmy claims that Toyman had murdered Cat Grant's son, although Toyman immediately denies this allegation, stating that he would never harm a child like that, and reveals that it was actually one of his robots that committed the act, which he then breaks in a fit of rage. Jimmy finally manages to free himself while Winslow is distracted, and uses his signal watch to contact Superman for help. And surely enough, help does arrive soon after, although it's not the big blue Boy Scout that comes to the rescue, but rather the Dark Knight detective himself. Batman is easily able to fight off Toyman's robot army just before Superman shows up and saves Jimmy from the Superman toys that were attacking him in the Caped Crusader. The story ends with Toyman locked up in Arkham once again, and we're also shown a very unexpected twist, which, spoiler alert, as it turns out, Winslow's wife was also a robot just like the other Toyman we had previously seen. Yeah, I wasn't kidding about it being an unexpected twist at the end. Well, there you have it. That's the comic book storyline, The Terrible Toyman. This is probably the best Toyman story that I've ever come across. I gotta give credit to Jeff Johns and how he portrayed Winslow's mental state throughout this one-shot. What I find to be the most interesting, other than the fact he fell in love with a woman he built for himself, is how he repeatedly states that he's a Superman person, saying stuff like, I don't want to be associated with Batman, or I belong in Stryker's Island, I belong in Metropolis. It's almost as if Winslow isn't a big fan of change, and prefers it when things stay the way they normally do, especially when it comes to the Man of Steel. Personally, I can see where he's coming from with this, as I normally don't like it when heroes fight villains that aren't from their own rogues galleries. I get that sometimes there are extenuating circumstances where a hero has to do so, but I've just never really been too crazy about it. Maybe that's just me though. I also really like the fact that the other versions of Toyman we've seen throughout the years were actually stand-in robot duplicates, which were evidently built to take over from Winslow whenever he was sent to prison. And as for the artwork, I honestly love it. Jesus Marino did a fantastic job with everything he did here, and I love the design he came up with for Toyman. To me, this is the most definitive look for the character. In short, this is undeniably worth reading, and I can't give it anything less than high praise. With all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts on this story are. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you all in the next video. Catch y'all later.